few minutes ago, you might have been watching the FC26 career mode deep dive trailer thing, and actually there wasn't too much information included in the video, but that's because a lot of it has been put into the deep dive instead. While the video makes it seem like career mode isn't changing too much, the deep dive does actually make me a little bit more optimistic that this could be a good season for playing career mode. Now we're going to have a look through this, and hopefully it's not too boring because it is just a massive block of text. I'll try and include some cool visuals wherever I can, but yeah, for most of this it is just going to be reading through this text. But what EA seems to think is going to redefine career mode is Manager Live. So this is how they're going to include more variety in career mode saves. Really though, it's just going to be achievements and themed objectives at the start of every single career mode save. The reward is going to be a kit that you can unlock for Create a Club or in Ultimate Team, or also in some cases you can unlock a kit that you can use inside career mode. Now I think that is actually kind of pointless because yes, you can unlock the Juventus retro kit right here if you do this challenge, but really, are you going to then play as Juventus yet again just because you've unlocked a retro kit? If you play a save with a single team more than once, then a lot of the time you're just kind of repeating yourself, and it feels a little bit pointless to keep doing that when there's so many more interesting teams on the game that you haven't used. However, I do like that some of these challenges are on here, and they do also show a few bits of information that haven't been talked about anywhere else. One of them, fan-based devotion. Now, I have no idea what this could be. Maybe it's how likely it is that you're going to get sacked as a manager. Maybe it's how passionately players are going to want to play for the club, or maybe it's just like some kind of home atmosphere boost. Either way, pretty interesting. Youth facilities as well and financial stability. These two being here makes me think that this probably is just a replacement for the old board objectives, where they would have high for financial stability or low for youth facilities. Now this new one is sort of throwing me off a little bit, but it could be really cool if there is a little bit more unique fan bases when it comes to the game. The rest of this is kind of irrelevant. I mean, you can read through this if you want, but it's just kind of making you limited to only signing players or selling players under a certain age or from specific teams, leagues and regions. But again, that might be good for Bilbao, but it's not actually ever going to have the Basque region in there. So again, we're just going to skip through all of this. Read through this, I'll link this in the comments below, and you can have a read through it in your own time. The next thing that EA wants to sort of brag about is adding icons and heroes to career mode. Again, not really that interesting to me. I like playing it a bit more realistic, so I don't want Zambrotta playing for Inter Milan or Zidane at Real Madrid. I want that to be Bellingham, and I want that to be someone like Denzel Dumfries. So we'll skip through that as well. And then we'll move on to something that I think is a lot more interesting, the manager market. Now this is something I have wanted in the game for a long time, and it seems like it's done a little bit better than how PES did it back in the day. So if we look at the video that they're showing here, the manager in the video is the Liverpool manager. So you can see there's job security, which is how likely the manager is to be sacked. Like Iraola is safe, Arteta is safe. I believe this is probably the first week of the transfer window. And then there's hiring likelihood, which is how likely it is that the club would want to hire you. Now, if we skip through the video, we can see the manager is managing as Arne Slot. So while Manchester City are impossible to move to, Manchester United is in fact possible. I really can't see Arne Slot ever going to Manchester United or Manchester United ever hiring him. At the minute, I think it's probably done on stars, going from the fact that Manchester City is impossible and also Chelsea is very unlikely, whereas almost every other team in the league other than Arsenal is possible for Arne Slot to move to. It could be a really cool feature, and it does seem like the quality of the club against the target is currently managing is the main factor, but yeah, it seems like something that maybe could have been slightly better. The next thing you need to look at is that you'll have the opportunity to apply for the job if you have the same performance and tactical vision. So this means that Manchester City are always basically going to play like Manchester City. They will never hire someone like Sean Dyche. However, that is also a little bit annoying because teams like Manchester United, teams like Spurs have changed their entire philosophy over this window from high pressing high lines to long ball and playing a little bit more ugly. One thing that I do like is that you can shortlist jobs and receive notifications when these become available, so you don't have to keep changing and keep looking through all the menus to try and find the job that you want. If you're sacked, your agent is going to present a list of clubs that are interested in you, which is a nice change, but it's probably going to be exactly the same as it was before. So hopefully I haven't really soured you on Manager Live and Manager Sackings, because they could be massive for longer careers. But the thing I am quite excited about is deeper simulation and data-driven scouting. So whereas before there's always been a single league that's simulated, we can now simulate 5 leagues at a time. It's a lot less than I would have expected, to be honest, and I think it's probably been added to help with the job offers and to make league tables look better. Hopefully this also does allow loans to get stats too. It seems like it probably will, because they have goals and appearances for leagues that are outside of the league that the guy is managing in. I am a little bit annoyed that it is only 5 leagues though, because on next gen consoles there is absolutely no reason they can't simulate every single division in the game. On the previous gen ones like PS4 and Xbox Series 1, then yeah, I can see why this restriction would be on there, but for the next gen version of the game, I think this should be basically every league is fully simulated. But I think that's how it should have been done, every league loaded by default, and you can remove ones to speed up simulation if you want. Another thing that this game now has is last season's results, so you can see the last season's tables, you can see the last season's top scorers, and you can see the last season's Champions League results and things like that, which is definitely an improvement, but again, it's not really good enough. It should be all 15 seasons get logged, including the previous one in real life, in my opinion. So we should be able to see last season's results on day 1 of our new career. And then a season later, we should still be able to see those 2 years. In 10 years, we should see 10 years plus 2024. I think that's how it should work, and I think that would be a better way of doing it. But again, it is definitely an improvement on what we already had. Maybe just not as big of a step as we would have wanted. The next thing down on the deep dive is authentic gameplay. The true football experience, it says. And from looking through everything here, I really don't see how this is anything different to sim gameplay last year. It seems like it's exactly the same. It's just sliders that change, and if we click on the screenshot right here, you can see that sprint speed goes down to 35 when we have authentic on, whereas when it was on regular, they're all on 50. So is the gameplay actually any different? Or does it just sort of cut some animations out and change the sliders? I'm thinking that's what it does, and if that is how it works, then it's going to be exactly the same as simulation this year. One thing I am really excited to see though is unexpected events. So this is a new layer of dynamic narrative scenarios that it can occur in your career mode experience. Anyone who's played any of the game will know what these are like. You just randomly get a bit of unpredictability, and I love it. It is so similar to the storylines that I've done on my website or on videos in the past, and it's so cool to see that it's finally being added to the game. Having something like Soboslai getting injured out on international duty is gonna add a little bit of randomness. I think I'll always have these on high, so hopefully I get a couple of them every single month. New ownership appearing at Tottenham Hotspur again. This would be so cool. I have no idea what is going to change if an owner does change at your club, but in the past they just give you a massive budget and have probably a little bit higher expectations than you would expect. It's cool to see the return of some of those old news stories as well, like the homesick player. In this chance, Adzik is feeling homesick and he's not really liking playing for Man City. I assume there's probably immediate action which allows you to do one thing, or you can maybe delay it and try and postpone and see if he gets over the homesickness by just sort of putting it off for a while. Maybe one of them will make him unhappy and want to be transfer listed, whereas the other one he goes to like Manchester and stays at your club. It's cool to have this, and decision points could be really cool if they add more and more of them every year. But again, I can imagine there's probably only going to be about 10 of these events, and we're probably going to be pretty sick of them by the time it's Christmas. Further down and towards the bottom of this document, we have some additional features. So there's 20 leagues in live starting points, which is really cool. There's contract renewal updates, so they won't renew their contracts at any time. They'll only reach out to you when they want a new deal, which again is really cool. You can't just renew at the last minute when they've got a transfer bid in, which I do like. AI lineup logic improvements, hopefully this is actually fixed, because there's been a lot of times where the match importance hasn't really mattered and you're just a lower rated team in the FA Cup, so they put out a team that is way too bad. Transfer logic improvements as well. This one seems quite interesting. The AI could start hoarding players in specific positions. We saw this on FC26 right at the start, and hopefully they have actually investigated and fixed this. Tactical visions are slightly changing as well to allow you to have more roles in certain tactics, which is fine, but I think most people just played on the custom tactical vision anyway. And if we keep scrolling down, sharpness and energy has been fixed for national teams. That's quite big. Retro kits, again, I mentioned this before, but unless it's for the club you support, you're probably not going to want to do a save just to unlock a kit where you then play as the same team in that save. If we go a bit further down, you can see player potential in youth and senior scout reports, which is a big change. The board objectives are cleaner, so they don't have sign 3 players from Asia anymore. Instead, it's win the cup, and win the league title, which is a shame because some of those were actually quite cool, but only if they were very specific to the team you were managing in. It seems like player faces have been updated again. These look a lot better than they did last year in the youth tournament. And then the rest of the document is just sort of player career and things that you don't really care about, like manager birth date, and the Women's Champions League's got a better format, as does the Argentinian League. So there was a lot of information in there. Hopefully you enjoyed going through it with me, because a lot of this was new to me as well. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think that this is full of good changes, or do you think this kind of not really what you were expecting? Were you expecting more, or were you expecting less? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you soon. Cheers and goodbye.